Hello and welcome to another album analysis. In today's video we'll be looking at the upcoming album News from the Invisible World by the English prog rock band The Fierce and the Dead. The band very graciously gave me access to the album over a month early and I was certainly very impressed with what I got to hear. A lot of change coming in from the band, who typically in the past have been instrumentally focused, really touching on the instrumental side of prog rock, and this is their first album to actually feature lead vocals from Kev Feezy, who is the bass player as well. This 8-song 42-minute journey takes us on a variety of styles, influences and sounds ranging from psychedelia to stoner rock, progressive rock, post-rock, shoegaze and occasionally dipping into a bit of metal as well. And for a band making such a big change by choosing to implement vocals, they haven't really just moved too far away from their sound. This isn't an evolution or a revolution of the band as they are, it's more just showing their musical depth and their ability to break out and try something new while still tying to their original roots. So will this album be breaking news or just a fading story? Let's take a look at it track by track. Opening the album we do have The Start. Quite a fitting place for this actually to be, which comes in with this very dabbling, synthetic intro with distant keys and hollowed vocals, really emphasising this almost space-like feel. This is added to with the dotted sounds that really provide this spacious atmosphere through the distanced vocals, and we do get a very interesting progressive build on this track, with the guitars and drums really starting to build up and continually show a building atmosphere that really just starts to show their ability to scale up these sounds by continually adding layers. And the song continues to build until it hits its critical mass when we get this explosive supernova of sound that really knocks you off your feet, really has you taken aback as the song explodes into walls of sound, really like a star erupting and really spreading sound everywhere, really encapsulating the massive space that they have to play with. This song really does allow the album to kick off with a big bang. We all make it into the spotlight and we are the start of it all. So really highlighting the band adopting a new change, really pushing forward with an explosive new styling to their music. Then we do move into track 2 titled Shake the Jar, with these fuzzy down-tuned guitars and this more energetic feel to it. Also has these really interesting ebbs and flows between different stylings, harder and softer, but the band do it in such a great way. They're almost riding waves. It never feels completely disjointed in the way that the turns are too sharp and it really kind of cuts itself off. It really keeps a strong flow throughout this entire track, really just showing their ability to move between these styles. We also get these beautiful uplifting chord progressions and these subtle intertwining of keys that really just add extra layers and extra strength to this track. And lyrically, the track seems to explore the idea of hate trying to keep you down. Face down as the broken march, I'll take the punch and try not to go berserk. Really not trying to fight back against the people that are trying to topple you. What's wrong with the hole you're in with the love we give, they said. So this idea of kind of lost love almost, really just being walked over, being treated very negatively. And we do see this interesting development throughout the track when we get these haunting vocals towards the end, almost acting like the voice of the damned, the ones that are marching along to this beat that they are not happy with. And then we do get this beautiful tapering off. Really just felt like the first time I heard it, the track was just going to lull away into nothingness, but then we get this one final uppercut, the idea of the damned rising up, not being held down and really fighting back with these beautiful layering of vocals that really kind of have this aggressive tone to them to really show that rise at the end. In track 3 we do have one of the singles released ahead of the album in the form of Golden Thread, which drives in with these much heavier chugging guitars and this really pounding drum sound before switching into an almost desolate town atmosphere with this very ghoulish sounding bass that's almost reminiscent of the Specials. And this track really does lead you along like the title would suggest. A golden thread being an idea or feature that is present in all parts of something, holds it together and gives it value, and it's almost kind of looking at the idea of holding on to an idea that leads to success but bears a heavy cost. That's shown through lyrics such as a golden thread to lead you there, a golden thread that leads to where. Really this idea that you're holding on to a hope with no end goal in mind, no destination. All this weather, this mistake, read the signs and took the bait. So you've kind of latched onto something without actually knowing where it's going to take you, and it's something that we can often see through things such as schemes that kind of get rich quick and things like that. So the track can really touch on a lot of different ideas that are very simplistic to attach to, as everybody does have that idea of that golden thread, that golden idea that they really want to use to kind of drive themselves forward. Then later in the track we have this crystalline instrumental break that almost smiles in your face before throwing you off the edge of a cliff as it does crash, and we've got lyrics that show that deep breaths now climb out of the hole, and then it climbs gradually back up to a heavier sound. And I love the way that the lyrics, the sound, all reflect these ideas. It's really an atmospheric album that really pulls you in, really just drags you around from pillar to post, and really does it so very well. Then for track 4 we do have Photogenic Love, with a much more lullish opening that invokes many stylings of Damon Albarn. It's something we do see quite a lot across this album, almost kind of tying into the Gorillaz and more of Blur's recent work, with these deep bass sounds and much softer stylings that really do tie it in with a lot of sounds we did see from the 90s in the UK. And it feels like another track that's really about the idea of being misled with your beliefs and ideas. Lyrics such as sunshine and oversight so that you never leave. You're kind of misleading somebody into this glorious future. This golden thread is you're dangling the carrot in front of their face, even though you know it's not actually real. It seems as photogenic. It's almost like an illusion that's being brought through. And we do get more ebbing and flowing between these softer and heavier elements. Again, something the band seem to really do very strongly. Nothing ever feels disjointed on any of these tracks, and it does give off a feeling of senseless optimism at times, with an interesting juxtaposition between some of the lyrics and the actual music. In at track 5 we do have Wonderful, another song that was released as a single, which has this very chaotic, playful and manic intro. It really takes you all over the place, and the band build on this idea through a variety of things that they do. We've got this doubling of some of the lyrics, fire, fire, take, take, sky, sky, all add pace to this franticness that we have got included. And we've also got the brass as well added to this track that really does help to add this more layers that really build on the ideas that they're trying to convey, as well as this almost siren-like sound from the keys that really help to add to this chaotic energy. You can almost picture the atmosphere of a scene with chaos unfolding around it, but it's another song that really again shows this juxtaposition between chaos and wonderful. The title suggests something positive, but the sounds and stylings really show this kind of everything's up in the air, nobody knows what's going on sound, with some of the lyrics as well helping to really show that. Flashes, rays, hell, fire, fire, a lot of these things that really just invoke this feeling of chaos. For track 6 we move into Non-Player, with these very haunting vocals leading into a softer, almost sky-gazing piece of music. It has a very nighttime feel to this song, with lyrics such as lift your voice to the sky, am I loud, am I clear? That idea of being heard, you're almost like a non-player, an NPC almost in this world that's going on around you, and I like how they really touch on that with this questioning attitude in many of the lyrics, really showing this reflective styling. We'd also have a much darker build in the middle of the track with the return of these grungier, down-tuned guitars, and we get this fantastic use of a saxophone that really amplifies this nighttime atmosphere. It almost gives it a very New York City night kind of feel that's really, really interesting, making great use of that instrument to add to this evening ambience as the track does fade away with its sullen tones, moving into something slightly more hollow. In at track 7 we do have What a Time to Be Alive, which is certainly a bit of a tie back to their recent music with this one. Much more instrumental, only a couple of lyrics that are included, really tying them back to their roots, showing their previous sound to people that may be just coming on board, really showing what they are capable of. And instrumentally it gives them a chance to really stretch their legs, really show their prowess in their ability to have longer songs that aren't boring. They don't sit there and feel like they're endlessly going on. And we do see this through the chugging, heavier sounds before it does continue to settle. Again, this ebbing and flowing that's done so very well, and it slinks and winds its way through genres and styles just like a snake moving through the grass, and again just really showing these abilities to do that through raw grit and aggression before moving into something softer and occasionally dipping into other things such as the very vocoder sounding vocals that do make an appearance on this track. Rounding out the album we do have Nostalgia Now, with this beautiful ambience from the piano, almost more of a crooning ballad-esque style, very reflective maybe of where the band has been, that idea of nostalgia, making the instrumental switch into something with vocals, and for a band that is pulling it off for the first time, they've done it beautifully across this album. Do you like these ghosts I made? I will keep you safe from the noise ahead. So almost like reminiscing or referencing to their future, the noise they're going to be creating as they continue to make new music, and their ghosts that they've made is the music from their past, which they're going to hold on to, and certainly a lot of fans will want to try and stay on board with this changing in style. The song also dips into deeper tones and shows more contrasts in styles between the very chunky bass and the very soft piano and these occasional tribal drums as well. There's a lot going on, but nothing's really fighting against each other. The production on this album is exquisite in the way that nothing ever feels like it's trying to kind of come to the forefront and drown everything else out. In the centre of the track, we do also have these very delicate vocals from Kev, really full of emotion, which is really great to see how their ability to draw on different influences. It certainly has a Guy Garvey feel from Elbow, with the raw emotion and the strength of his softer vocals that are really pulled out with these more extended notes in the middle of the track. But then we do see them return to their progressive styles with this chaotic piano outro, throwing the kitchen sink in to really round the album off before just gradually tapering off in the last 5-10 seconds. Just really show this soft intro after this very frantic ending build. Overall, this is an album that shows a heavy amount of maturity from the band, really developing, really pushing themselves forward by trying something new but sticking to their old sound. And I think for a band that are doing something new, so different to their past for the first time, they pull it off absolutely beautifully. They draw so many influences from different styles, from the likes of Damon Albarn of Blur and Gorillaz. You've got some Guy Garvey from Elbow. You've also got ties to other bands, even Dave Grohl of Foo Fighters. There's so many things that are packed into this album, but it doesn't feel over clustered or over crammed like it's bursting at the seams. It feels like every genre, every modification has been so beautifully intertwined to really pull things together, to really present a polished final product that certainly doesn't disappoint. The real 1-2 punch of this album though is certainly Shake the Jar and Golden Thread. Those two songs together really encompass everything that makes the band so strong, as we do see across this album. The real 1-2 gut punch that really just kind of catches you off guard. I think for me the weakest track on the album, believe it or not, had to be What a Time to Be Alive. I love the instrumental section they returned to, showing their roots, but I think the strength of the rest of the album with the vocals really is something they should continue to do, because for a band doing it for the first time, as I said before, they really have pulled it off beautifully. In terms of length as well, I think 8 tracks is probably the perfect length. Given some of the tracks are 6-7 minutes, nothing feels overly long, and maybe you could have thrown in 1 or 2 more tracks just to round it out to maybe 50 minutes, but I think that had just been possibly being a little bit greedy. I think the album starts and finishes very well, with touching on the start, really kind of setting this world building and nostalgia, now really tapering off the band's past, present and future. And for all those reasons, I'm going to give this album a 9 out of 10, a very deserved score, because it encompasses so much. There is so many things going on. I had to listen to this album 4 or 5 times before actually doing the review, because there was so much to pick up on and so much I wanted to talk about, and there's more I probably could do so. And if you are a prog rock fan, this is an album you want to mark on your calendars. You want to be aware of this. You want to hear the album in full, and because it's a complete package. As much as you can hear the 3 standalone singles they have released, it's one of those that you need to listen to from start to finish to really appreciate the development that the band have shown musically, but also through some of the lyrics they've included as well. I also love how this album incorporates so many different styles that apply to everybody. Whether you're a fan of Gorillaz, Rush, Flaming Lips, Elbow, there is something for absolutely everybody to really pull you in and let you get involved with, and it doesn't really kind of force out one style or genre. So that will be everything for today's video, but one thing you do need to do is mark July 28th in your calendars to make sure you hear this album in its entirety. If you can't wait until then, you want to hear more from what the band have to offer, then check out some of their singles. I will post links to their Spotify in the description of this video. And once again, thanks to the band so much for letting me get to hear this album early. It certainly was a very welcome treat, and I was so glad to get a chance to hear it and also take a look at it track by track. Also, if you would like to see more content like this, then please do feel free to subscribe, and I will see you in the next album analysis.